The clink of crystal glasses echoed through the dining room as my sister Emma lifted her fourth toast of the night. To my brilliant husband Blake, she beamed, who just closed another multi-million-dollar deal. I stayed quiet at the far end of the table, swirling the last of my wine. These monthly dinners had become a masterclass in patience, or humiliation, depending on how you looked at it. My sister's mansion could swallow my entire apartment 3 times over, a fact she never missed the chance to highlight. Blake's voice cut through the chatter, thick with feigned concern. Still stuck at that little investment firm? What's it called again? Mitchell Advisory? Before I could answer, Emma jumped in with a practiced smile. Oh, Blake, don't be cruel. Not everyone can reach your level of success. I tightened my grip on my fork, my mind drifting to the documents on my desk, documents that could topple Blake's smug grin. But patience was key. Timing mattered. Actually, I said evenly, things are going very well. Blake chuckled, tapping his Rolex. Very well? Is that why you're still driving that decade-old Honda? James, when I was your age, I was already partner at Sterling Capital. Mother, ever eager to smooth tensions, tried to intervene. The food is divine, Emma. Did the new chef prepare this? But Blake wasn't done. He never was. You know, James, I could probably find you a starter role at Sterling. Better than wasting your time with whatever it is you're doing now. The irony made me smile inwardly. Blake Thompson, self-proclaimed Wall Street royalty, had no clue that his future, literally, was secured in my office safe. I appreciate it, I said, slicing into my steak, but I'm exactly where I want to be. Emma rolled her eyes. Don't be so stubborn, James. Blake's just trying to help. Our father, who had been observing quietly, finally spoke. Emma, what exactly does your brother do? Blake leaned back, shoving some papers toward a nameless firm. Please. He's barely scraping by while Emma lives in luxury. I made sure of that. I watched my sister bask in his approval, oblivious to the condescension dripping from his words. She'd always craved validation, no matter the cost. Tell me, Blake, I said, setting down my fork, how's the global tech merger coming along? His hand froze halfway to his wine glass. How do you know about that? I shrugged lightly. News travels fast in finance. Heard there might be complications. Nothing I can't handle, he said, though a flicker of unease crossed his face. Sterling Capital's got it under control. Emma laughed, blissfully unaware. Of course, darling. You're the best at what you do, unlike some people who never reach their potential. Her jab was meant to sting, but I merely smiled. Mitchell Advisory, my tiny firm, had been quietly acquiring controlling stakes in major companies for 5 years. Our empire was hidden behind layers of subsidiaries and shell corporations. Blake regained his composure. Actually, James, since you asked, the global tech merger will be my biggest deal yet. Once done, it's a $900 million valuation. Probably more than you'll ever see. Mother shifted uncomfortably. Blake, maybe another topic? No, he waved her off. James should hear this. Maybe it'll motivate him. When I first met Emma, I couldn't believe she had a brother who was such a, what's the word? Disappointment, Emma offered helpfully. That's it. Blake snapped. Same parents, same opportunities. Emma married well, lives lavishly. You, he gestured at me, are still a nobody. Silence fell. My father opened his mouth, but I raised a hand. You're right, Blake. The difference is striking. I stood, placing my napkin beside my plate. Thanks for dinner, Emma. I have an early meeting tomorrow. Blake smirked. Can't handle the truth? I paused at the door. Actually, I have some papers to review. A merger, of course. His smile twitched, but he masked it with a laugh. Right. I'm sure your little advisory firm handles real mergers all the time. If only he knew that Mitchell Advisory was just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface lay Mitchell Global Holdings, one of the largest private equity firms in the country. We specialized in stealth acquisitions and corporate restructuring, building influence quietly, deliberately, far from the public eye. As I walked toward my car, the same 10-year-old Honda Blake loved to ridicule, I thought about tomorrow morning's meeting. That was when Blake would discover exactly who controlled the fate of his precious merger. My phone buzzed. A message from my senior partner: "Everything's ready for tomorrow. Thompson won't know what hit him." I typed back, "Perfect. Time to show my brother-in-law what a nobody can really do." Driving home, I reflected on how it had come to this. After graduating from Harvard Business School, something Blake had no idea about, I had let everyone believe I attended a state college. I could have followed the traditional path: flashy office, designer car, high-profile firm. Instead, I chose a different strategy. Mitchell Advisory served as my camouflage, a small, unassuming firm that no one would give a second glance. Meanwhile, Mitchell Global Holdings quietly acquired companies, restructured corporations, and built an empire that would make Sterling Capital look like a local shop. Tomorrow, Blake Thompson would learn a lesson in humility. His prized merger, the deal he'd been flaunting for months, depended entirely on a single signature, a signature I held. I pulled into my modest apartment complex. Comfortable, but not ostentatious. Just as I liked it. My phone buzzed again. "Emma, you left so early." Blake was just trying to help. "Why can't you accept you're not as successful as him?" I didn't respond. Tomorrow would speak louder than words. Inside, I opened my safe and retrieved the global tech merger documents. Blake's signature was there, along with several board members, but one signature remained: the CEO of Mitchell Global Holdings, the company quietly holding the majority stake in global tech. My signature. Pouring a glass of scotch, I settled into my chair, reviewing the papers one last time. In less than 12 hours, Blake Thompson would discover that his greatest triumph rested entirely in the hands of the nobody he loved to mock. Success doesn't always need to glitter. Sometimes it's better to be underestimated, to build quietly in the shadows while others flaunt their wealth and status. Blake had chosen arrogance and public spectacle. I had chosen control and patience. Tomorrow would reveal whose path led to real power. The next morning, I arrived at Sterling Capital headquarters an hour early, not through the main entrance, where Blake would expect to see me groveling, but via the executive elevator, using a code my team had secured months ago. The top-floor conference room offered a breathtaking view of the city. I stood by the window, watching traffic inch below, thinking of all the times Blake had bragged about this view at family dinners. "Everything is set, Mr. Mitchell," my assistant Sarah whispered, appearing silently. "Board members are gathering. Mr. Thompson just arrived." I nodded, straightening my suit, a subtle, understated piece worth more than Blake's entire wardrobe. "And Emma just pulled up in her Mercedes. She's with him." Perfect. Blake's ego would never allow him to witness his triumph alone. I sat at the head of the conference table, back to the door, listening as the room filled. I could hear Blake's voice in the hallway. "The Mitchell Global CEO is just playing hard to get. Trust me, once they see the numbers, they'll sign. No one refuses Blake Thompson." The irony was delicious. The room went quiet as he entered. I could imagine him striding in, adjusting his gold cufflinks, the hallmark of someone who equated wealth with power. "All right, where's this mysterious CEO?" His voice faltered as I swiveled my chair around. "James, what are you doing here? This is a private meeting." "Security." I smiled, opening the folder in front of me. "No need for security, Blake. I'm exactly where I belong." Emma, trailing behind him, looked puzzled. "James, why are you sitting there? That seat is for the CEO of Mitchell Global." Realization dawned on her. "No," Blake said flatly. "No, this is impossible. You run Mitchell Advisory, that tiny office in a strip mall. Mitchell Advisory is a subsidiary. I spoke evenly. Mitchell Advisory is just one piece of the puzzle. Mitchell Global Holdings, I motioned toward the board members, who could barely hide their smirks. Let's just say, we're a bit larger than Sterling Capital. Blake's face drained of color, shifting from red to pale. You're lying. This has to be some kind of joke, like those jokes about my car, my career, or last night, when you called me a nobody. I slid the merger documents across the table. Take a look, Blake. The only signature missing is mine. Emma snatched the papers before he could, her hands trembling as she read. James, you're the CEO? All these years. All these years, I said, turning to Blake, I was building an empire while your husband was busy flaunting bonuses and egos. That merger you're so proud of? We engineered the entire thing. Every key stakeholder, every board member supporting the deal, they answer to me. Blake sank into a chair. Why? He croaked. Because real power isn't about showing off. It's about knowing when to act and when to wait. I stood. And about that merger, I glanced down at my jacket. After reviewing the terms, I'm afraid it doesn't align with our strategy. Blake's voice cracked. This deal, it's everything. Sterling Capital. I needed your help just to get a foot in the door. I leaned in, soft but cutting. Tell me, Blake, how does it feel to be the nobody in the room? Emma stepped closer, tears welling. James, please. If this deal falls apart, Blake could lose everything. Everything, I echoed. The mansion you love to flaunt, the cars, the vacations, all built on Blake's arrogance and other people's money. The board members shifted, sensing the storm. Here's the situation, I continued. Sterling Capital will be integrated into Mitchell Global Holdings. Blake, you're welcome to stay on, entry level, of course. Think of it as me helping you, just like you thought you were helping me. Blake's expression crumpled. The so-called king of Wall Street reduced to pleading for a job from his own brother-in-law. You can't do this, he whispered. Actually, I can. And I am. I turned to the board. Meeting adjourned. Sarah will distribute the new org charts. Blake, pack up your office by the end of the day. As the room emptied, Emma stayed behind, staring at me as if seeing me for the first time. All those dinners, she said quietly. All those times we mocked you. You chose your side, Emma. You believed that success was only what Blake showed you, flashy cars, expensive watches. You never asked what I was really building. I'm your sister, she said, pleading. And I'm still your brother. The same brother you called a disappointment last night. Only now, you know what I'm truly worth. My phone buzzed. Another deal demanding attention. Real power never rests. I have a meeting, I said. Blake, security will supervise while you pack. Emma, I'll see you at the next family dinner. I think it's my turn to host. As I left, I heard Emma sobbing and Blake struggling to breathe through his shock. A flicker of sympathy arose, but I dismissed it. They had chosen arrogance and shallow success, I had chosen strategy and control. That evening, I drove my old Honda back to my modest apartment. My phone had been buzzing all day, texts from parents and relatives suddenly realizing that family disappointment was anything but. I poured a scotch and opened my laptop to examine another acquisition. My mother had sent a dozen messages. Why didn't you tell us? We had no idea. Please talk to Emma, she's devastated. I left them unread. Success isn't about proving yourself to others, it's about knowing your worth even when no one else does. Finally, a message came from Blake's personal email. I understand now. I deserve this. But please, give me a chance to prove myself. I smiled, thinking of all the times he'd belittled me, all the opportunities I'd been denied. My reply was short, precise. Report to HR on Monday, 9 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. Nobody can afford to miss their first day. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's revealing your true value and letting the world realign around it. Blake would learn what real success looked like. Emma would learn that true worth isn't measured in mansions and sports cars. And I would keep building my empire, quietly, strategically, one deal at a time. After all, that's what nobodies do.